Juicy beef meatballs, tender kale and toasted pine nuts. The perfect autumn pasta that's quick, comforting and full of flavour. I hope you're all well. I'm Shane. Welcome back to It's Cooking Good. So this is the first pasta dish I'm going to be cooking this week. I haven't done pasta on the channel for a little while, and it's all about celebrating lovely autumnal vegetables. So today we've got this lovely juicy meatball and kale and pine nut recipe, and on Friday you've got a lovely creamy butternut squash and chicken recipe coming too. So let's get started. You need a pan on a high heat, and to that we're going to add olive oil, about a tablespoon there. And then straight in with one onion that I've finely sliced. And we just want to cook that down for a minute or two before we go in with our garlic. Our onion's softening down nicely. Now's the time to add in your garlic. And I've got 3 cloves here, which I've finely diced. They're going to go straight in. I put them in afterwards because I don't want this garlic to burn, and that onion does take a little bit longer to cook. And then I like a little bit of heat in mine, so I'm adding some dried chilli flakes. But you can leave these out, entirely up to you. But I do like that little kick of heat, so I'm going in probably half a teaspoon there. And just stir that through and let that do its thing. While that's doing that, we'll move on to the rest of our meatball mix. And here I've got 75 grams of breadcrumbs. These are fresh breadcrumbs I've made myself, which happen to be 3 slices of bread. And I've got some milk here. I'm just going to add a bit there. It's probably about 2 tablespoons of milk. You just want to soften these down with that milk. Just give it a good little mix in so everything is coated, and it will start to sort of go into more of a sort of moldable sort of mix, if you like, something like that. Just push all that through. Make sure it's nicely coated, as I say. I then want some parmesan cheese in there. So probably couple of tablespoons in there, mix that through as well, and your beef. And here I've got 500 grams, and this is 15% fat. You could go less, it's just that's what I had in. So get that into your bowl as well. And our onions and garlic are pretty much ready, so we can empty those in as well. That looks good to me. Let's turn this off for a second. Get your onion and garlic and straight into your mix. That's it. Get it all out. And then just get your hands in. Be careful not to burn your hands on that onion. And you just want to mix all this in, as you would do with any normal meatball, just to make sure everything is nicely distributed. Make sure that bread is all through that meat mix. That's what's going to make these meatballs so nice and juicy. See here, I've got clumps of it. So I want to make sure that is nicely mixed in, and that looks good to me. So let's move that to one side. You're going to need a baking sheet. I've got some grease-proof paper on this one, and just grab some of your mix, and you want to make these into really nice little meatballs. Something about that sort of size. You don't want them too big. Just want them sort of bite-sized. Probably get one in your mouth at a time, or cut it in half if you prefer. So again, just about that size. So I'm going to do up the rest of these. They're then going to sit for about 30 minutes in the fridge, and then we can crack on and finish this dish off. Meatballs are all made up. They've been in the fridge for 30 minutes, just taken them out, and there are loads of them. I lost count. I did try to count them for you. I got to 50. There's probably about 55 here, so plenty of meatballs for the whole family for sure. What you want to do now is get your pasta on. Today we're going to be using orecchietti, and I picked this up from Tesco's actually. I hadn't seen it in there before. Previously I buy it from Lidl. I think that it's known as little ears in Italy, and they are absolutely lovely bits of pasta. They're just like little disc sort of shapes. Hopefully you can see that. And you want to boil that. Pack says 10 to 12 minutes. I'll probably do it for about 9 because I like mine al dente. So you want to get that on now. And while that pasta's bubbling away, we can move on and cook up our meatballs and the other goodies that are going to go in here. So in the same pan that we cooked the onion, garlic and chilli in, I'm just going to add a little bit more olive oil. And then I'm just doing it as one portion for me at this stage. We're going to eat this tonight. So I'm just going to put enough in for me for the moment. Great thing about these, they'll keep in the fridge. And if you don't use them all, just freeze them up and go back to them another time. So I'm going to go in, I don't know, about 10 there. Perfect. And you just want to gently fry these off on a low heat. Okay, so these have been cooking now for a couple of minutes on that low heat, and they're starting to take on a nice bit of colour. So they're just browning up nicely. We're going to go in now with garlic clove, which I've just sliced, and let that just cook out for another minute. To that then, pine nuts. So obviously it's just me eating, so I've just got a little quantity here, and I've toasted these already. You want to toast them before you put them in. That's it. Obviously, if you're making this for more people, you're going to up these quantities. And then next, our kale. I've just got a standard bag here. Again, if the 4 of us were eating this, I'd add the whole bag right now, but we're not. It's just me. So you want a good handful. Quarter of the pack, I guess, would be the right amount, and I'm dropping it everywhere. I love kale. I was going to use cavallonero. I sometimes use that in this recipe, but I'm saving that because I'm going to do a different recipe with a cavallonero, and I love kale. So again now, just stir that through. Still on a low heat this, don't want it too high. And then what I've done is I've just taken some of the pasta water out while it's boiling away, and I want to add some of that. Effectively what we're going to do is almost steam this kale in there. And this is going to stop that garlic now burning, as well as the meatballs. They're all going to cook nicely. So I'm going to add a lid on it, and we're going to leave that for a good 3 to 4 minutes. Meatballs and the kale is all now cooked through, and our pasta is ready. Let's take that lid off. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. And what you'll see is it's nicely wilted down. So now let's go with our orecchietti. I've probably done too much pasta as usual, but that's fine. It will all be used. Give that a stir around, get it all nicely coated. Still got some of that liquid in there from the pasta, and the pasta is now going to help thicken up that water that is in there. But also to that, we're going to add the rest of our parmesan cheese. Get it all in there. And at this stage, you want to just check it for seasoning, because we haven't added any salt and pepper to the meatballs or the pasta at this point. And I didn't even salt the water. So I just want to check it. Obviously the parmesan is salty, so it adds some salt, but I just want a little bit more, not too much. And some pepper. Again, obviously season it to your taste buds. I like my pepper, so plenty of pepper in there. And then this is now ready to serve up. So let's move this to one side. Let's bring in our bowl, and let's get that in there. Ho, ho, ho. Lovely. My machine is singing at me again. Turn that off, and there we have it. My meatball and kale orecchietti pasta with pine nuts. Let's give it a go. Let's see how we've done here. Get me a spoon and fork. Let's try one of these meatballs. I want to cut into one. Nice and tender, just fall straight apart. Those breadcrumbs have done their job. Obviously want some of that kale on there. Love the kale. It is supposed to be an autumn dish, so need plenty of that on there, and I've got some pine nuts too. That is very, very good. The flavours are amazing. The meatballs are nice and rich and juicy. The kale has got that earthiness to it. Pine nuts, they're adding their own little bit of flavour in there, and the garlic and everything else. I love orecchietti. Switch it out if you don't want orecchietti. You could use penne or any sort of pasta you like. And if you don't want to use beef for your meatballs, use pork, use turkey mince, whatever you prefer or whatever you've got in. Either way, I can tell you this much, if someone put that in front of you, you definitely wouldn't be disappointed, and it'd make a great midweek dinner or a weekend treat for sure. I've got to have one last bite. I love kale, and this is the best season to eat it. And that's slightly al dente, so the stalk has still got a little bit of crunch to it, which is exactly as I like it. Guys, that's it from me for today. I really appreciate you watching. If you like the content, you're not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Please also like, share and comment. If there's something you would have done differently with this recipe, please do let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, on Friday of this week is my second autumnal pasta dish, which is my butternut squash and chicken pasta. So look out for that one. Make sure you've got your alerts on. I'll put all of the details of today's meatball kale pine nut pasta down below in the description as always. And all that's left for me to say is until next time, it's cooking good.